Yo guys, what's up? Welcome to another replay analysis with me, Mr. ViBE, and today we're doing a gold level Protoss versus Terran. We're going to be looking at the Protoss' perspective, and we're going to help Mon Capitan figure out what he's doing right, what he could do better, what he's doing wrong. We'll look at whatever build he's going for. We'll give him ways he can more optimally play it out if it looks inefficient. Stuff like this. And yeah, we'll help him out. Gold level, the main focus for gold, if you want to get better as fast as possible, is definitely going to be your macro. Like the core fundamental of like when to do things and what to build and, you know, how to keep building. Stuff like that. My one tip I'll already give you: make sure you queue up 2 probes in your Nexus. Like, try to get your pylon down, but try to make sure you're always keeping a probe queued in your Nexus all the time, because on probe 12 to 13 and then on probe 13 to 14, you left your Nexus idle for about 1 second each time. It's not the hugest deal, but it's something you can easily fix. And you're doing 1 probe at a time. This is risky, because if you fuck up the timer, like you might do it right now, you might fuck it up. 103. You need to have 2, because if you go for 2, it gives you 12 seconds, which is the build time of a probe, 12 seconds of recovery, where you're just like, oh, okay, well, if I fucked it up, I have 12 seconds to not get totally fucked, because I can catch it when the backup probe is already in production now, and then you go to 2 again. So like 103. How long does this? Okay, it's another 1. So that's 3 seconds. That was like 1 second again. Just again, none of these seconds would have existed at all if you just had a backup probe. Now you're doing it. I like that. That's what you should do. I like that, because it goes so fast. Also, one tip I can give you: we don't have to back the replay up for this. Just telling you in general, when your pylon finishes, always pair that with a chrono boost. So you actually haven't chrono boosted at all yet, and you should have, because you could have had an extra almost like 2 probes right now over what you have. Yeah, like you definitely need to chrono boost right as your pylon's done, so that you can crank out probe 16, 17 super fast, and then keep going from there. Don't chrono boost twice though. Just chrono boost once. You did it now. It's just late, and that's just money you're missing. And here's another thing too. Do not, if your plan is to go, so your builds, this is where your build's kind of starting to fall apart. If your plan is to go for a natural, if you said the fact that you didn't chrono boost, this is huge. Like the 3 seconds that have missed from the probes that are produced, and the fact that you did not chrono boost, you are already behind by probes in general. That's just like you'll catch up eventually with the chrono boost, but those 3 seconds, it does never go away. That is something that's permanent for you up in this game to this point. But you ripped off your mineral line and you went undersaturated, and you fully saturated your gas. This is way too early for gas if your plan is to play defensive macro. You should prioritize 16 out of 16 and keep it there, and then you fill your gases up as you go with new probes being built. Do not ever rip off your mineral line. The only time that ever makes sense is if you're doing a timing with gas. Like if you're going to do you're going to save chrono boost and go for like proxy robo or proxy stargate, or you need a really fast stargate. Like you just want to do something tech related with gas that's very fast. Then yes, it makes sense to do this, and you would then probably build that tech before you expand. But if you're going to expand, deprioritizing your mineral line makes no sense. Also, you didn't really scout him. Like, you scouted for the... but I will say this. Okay, no, you know what? I'll take it back. Let me say it like this. If your plan in Gold League is to scout to see if your opponent expanded, and if they didn't, you're going to play defensive, just know you scouted really early for that logic. You did scout after Gateway, but still, you scouted and then you just left. I don't want you to go too crazy on scouting, because this is Gold League, but maybe what you should start doing that would make more sense is maybe scout right after you expand. If you're going to, again, if your plan is to expand. Because Your opponent will never have an expansion down if you scout that fast. It'll never happen. You'll always think you're getting all in. You'll be like, fuck, he's not expanding. Because neither are you. Because you're playing standard, which is what everybody does. If they're playing standard, you know what I mean? Like, no one's going to have an expansion that fast. So that, yeah, that was essentially just a wasted scout, where this could have been money to mine faster and expand faster. And then you could scout. Because if you actually expand and then scout, by the time you get across the map, your expansion will be like a third of the way done. Maybe even closer to halfway done. We're talking like 35 to 40 seconds, because that's about how long it takes to cross the map. And that's very deep into having the expansion. At that point, that would be very realistic for your opponent to have started a natural then. For sure. So, just start scouting off the natural. Make your build order. This should become your build order, okay? Pylon, gate, gas, nexus, core, gas, pylon. That should be your opening build, okay? Try to do that. And if you were like, wait, what the fuck did you say, ViBE? Just go back and watch the VOD, and you can rewind it and watch it again and again and again and again. But then when the scout timing will be nexus, that probe then leaves and goes to scout. You literally could just right click a mineral patch right here. Just go like, so just do this, okay? Mon Capitan, do this. This could be your technique. Build the nexus. Have your probe selected that built the nexus. Hold shift, right click on his mineral patch that is natural. Still hold shift, click back on the mini map to your natural, and right click another patch. And what that will tell your probe to do is it'll tell your probe to go mine his mineral line. So you'll mineral walk through everything that might block you. You'll see if he expanded or not. And then you won't even have to look at that probe again. You just look at the mini map and to see for an expansion. And that probe will eventually start mining your natural for you automatically. So it's not going to like constantly like go back. Because all you need to know in Gold League is he expanding when I'm expanding? And is this something that I need to worry about or not? And if you don't see an expansion, if you literally have your probe running back to your base and you saw no expansion, just build a battery. Just build a battery and you're good to go. That's it. And if you do see an expansion, you don't even need to build a battery. You could just make probes and make units, and that's it. But yeah, definitely scout a little later and it'll help you a lot. In terms of like actually identifying if they're expanding. Just to not confuse you as well really fast, because I want to clarify this too. If you can just remember this, okay? If you do a scout off of your Nexus against Zerg, that might be a little scarier. Zerg is the only race where it's actually acceptable to scout off of your gateway just to see if they expanded or not, because Zerg is, you know, if a Zerg goes pool first, that's not the same thing as going gateway first or going barracks first. That is literally like going for like 3 racks or like 3 gate first, because pool first is definitely committed to aggression, like if it's like a 12 pool. So, well, okay, let's just say it like this. Let's say it like this. This actually makes more sense. I said it weirdly, and this is what really it's like, okay? Going pool first for Zerg, the way most people do it is basically they just save 200, like it would be like you being able to just save 200 minerals or like 150 minerals and just make the gateway right away. Or a Terran be able to make the barracks right away. The reason why this is not a thing for Protoss and Terran is because you can't even build a gateway until you have a pylon. And Terran cannot even build a barracks until they have a supply depot. These are tech path requiring things. And also Protoss even furthermore needs a pylon field, like for power. Zerg doesn't have to do that. Zerg can just build a pool. The Zerg can essentially do what is the equivalent of just building a barracks or a gateway immediately. Which is why if Zerg doesn't expand, generally speaking, usually they're going to go for aggression early. So you can still scout off of a gateway against Zerg, and if you don't see a natural started against Zerg, your probe can go back home and you can just immediately build a battery and just feel safe about it. Like you can build a battery right when your core is done. That'd be fine. And then macro from there. Alright, do you scout again? Looks like you might scout again. This should be your initial scout. This is fine. I like that you scouted again. But yeah, this should just be your first and only scout against Terran. And then you see no natural. So when you get to platinum level, I would say maybe start scouting the ramp as well. But for now, I don't care. You shouldn't care either that much. Like it's whatever. Just call it. Just build a battery. Because again, you're not reacting to everything. It's just the simple fact of do you or do you not build a battery. Your build is exactly the same otherwise. The more time you spend on looking at what he's doing for now in Gold League, you're just going to make your life harder when you don't really need to. So, yeah, in Platinum League, we'll start scouting the ramp, I would say. But for now, don't even worry about it. Just go, oh, yeah, no natural. He's not playing standard E. He's playing either really safe with a high ground CC, which is automatically, if you make a battery, that's okay. Because the amount of money that you invest into a battery is about equivalent. It kind of cancels itself out for the amount of money he loses because he's making a safe command center. So it literally cancels itself out in terms of you being behind because you made a battery. That doesn't exist. And if he doesn't make a command center in the high ground, and instead he's going for aggression, he's literally going one base bullshit. Well, now suddenly that battery is going to pay dividends for you, and it's going to be so useful because now it's going to help you way more at dealing with an all-in. So yeah, this is a fine scout, and then just go home after then you're good. But yeah, in Platinum, I would say definitely start scouting the ramp once you get there. All right. So you made a robo. I'm very proud of you overall in terms of your continuous production of your gateway. You managed to squeeze 3 units out, and you're going for number 4. Honestly, I would say pay close tabs. Or pay attention to your gateway and your core, because I think this 4th unit is not necessary, only in the fact that it's going to actually take longer to get this stalker out if you just let it build, as opposed to if you just canceled it and let the warp gate finish and immediately warped it in. Because warping cooldowns are faster than actual build times by like 33%. So you want to get your warp gate up as soon as possible. The only way I would justify you letting this unit finish and not canceling it before the core was done would be if this stalker was beyond like 33%. So if it was beyond 10 seconds, or like when it's if it was going to be beyond that, or like maybe even like 15 seconds, because you also have to really, it would be like about 15 seconds because you have to account for the fact that it has it's actually 17 seconds. Where am I getting this math from? You have to match the cooldown reduction of the stalker and the warp gate to the unit for time that's left to be built, and if it's 33% faster, then you have to do like 33% faster here. So it'd be like roughly, I would say, you want to go to like 10, and then on top of that, you have to include the fact that you have a transform to warp gate time as well, which you're also making it wait on now because you're making the unit build. So like 17 seconds, I would say. If this unit was already 17 seconds through production or beyond that, then yes, let it finish. Which means if it's just basically, if you see the bar and you go, oh, it's more than halfway done, you're good to just let it finish. But if it's anywhere below halfway, you should totally cancel it and let it go to warp gate. Because you're just going to make units at a slower pace then otherwise. Which might, if you think there's a chance you might get all in, that is actually kind of a big deal. Okay, and then your sentry, make sure as well, if you can remember to do it. Like this, see how this probe is just literally taking laps back and forth? Like this definitely shouldn't happen. Don't ever go back with your probe again a second time. Don't bother doing that. What you should do instead is start getting in the habit of hallucinating a phoenix. Use your sentry and just make a hallucinated phoenix. And what you can do with that You make a Phoenix, you click it. You can just click like here, for instance. Just like they're natural. Don't click there's directly in the center. Maybe click on the side of it. That way you can maybe avoid a bunker if there actually now is one, or units that are standing there. So if you go around the side barely, if you click like here, now your Phoenix can fly to the edge of his base, but then you can shift click from here to like right there. So the Phoenix would fly down to right here, and then it would slowly curve up, and it would bypass bunker or units standing on top of the ramp. And this way, not only would you see if he has expanded, but you could also see into his base. I am not telling you to look at everything he's doing and worry about it. All I would say is just see if you can see a command center. That's it. Like, just look for his command centers. And like literally just shift click it once. Be like, here, here. Stop. Do not start going like this, like all over the place. Like, where is the command center? Where is it? Who cares? If you don't see it, you don't see it. Put as little time as you can into your scouting. As little time as possible. But what it will do is you'll indirectly see a lot of stuff, which will help you feel like you have somewhat control of the game, because you might be like, oh yeah, he's going bio. Who cares? But now you know he's going for a bio composition, so you know, I guess, what to expect a bit more. Or he's going for Hellions, or who, again, don't change what you're doing based off of what he's doing. Still go Stalker, 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 Stalker. Start making Immortals. Eventually go into Archons, and then eventually you can also add in Charge Lots if you want to. Like, that's super fine. Every game, you could totally do that. Just, again, look and it'll just help you, like, get in the habit of, like, learning how to scout. You don't have to necessarily deduce what's happening. You just need to learn how to, like, start timing your scouts. Start getting in the habit of doing it, and it'll help you so much in the future. And then, yeah, if you do see, oh, he's got a command center and it's floating over, well, that's reassurance to be like, yeah, we're definitely not getting all in. Like, this is great. He expanded. It's just delayed. So I'm further ahead now. Because you're definitely ahead with how delayed this guy's expansion is. Like, even though I haven't even, like, we can see his supply on the top, obviously, so it's like cheating. But the fact that he doesn't have a natural for this long and you do, this is pretty standard the way this looks. Because the more money you mine, the faster your supply is going to ramp up. That's just common. That's just how the game works. More money means more units. So I would expect you to have a supply lead right now. Although he might have a tech lead over you, that is very possible since he's not expanding. So he might have things like Cloak Banshees soon, or he might go into like a battle cruiser, or he could go for like a Liberator tank timing, something tech based, which is whatever. That's why you make Stalkers, because it's versatile and can deal with everything. And if you have enough of them, you can beat literally everything in the early game versus someone who does not have efficiency. So yeah, just get in the habit of scouting with your Sentry hallucination, and always make a Phoenix. And the reason why is because it flies, so it bypasses all terrain, and it's really fast. It's the fastest unit out of this whole list, so it gets in there quickly and scouts as much as possible. Alright, and then now you're making Immortals, you're still making Stalkers. This is good. You should be starting a third base. Your probe really needs to stop going down there. This was good at first. Now he just keeps taking laps. This is exactly why I told you the hold shift, click, keep holding shift and click, because your probe would just go back to mining. It wouldn't keep taking laps like this over and over. It would just take one lap and then mine from the natural. But right now, even if he was all in, I don't care. You should take your third base right now. You should start it. And the reason why is because you're playing efficient. You should learn efficiency. Like, do it as much as you can. Do not be that guy that goes, what is he doing? What is he doing? What is he doing? I can't play efficient now. I have to freak out. I have to freak out. You do not have to freak out. I promise you, you do not have to freak out until you're diamond. You do not even have to freak out in platinum. If you just play efficient and expand at proper times and constantly pump your production as fast as you can out of what you have, you will be fine versus all-ins. Like 99% of the time. That is all I did as well in Beta GM. I did not hard counter everyone's build whenever they played aggressive. I just did efficient builds. I did blind efficiency, and it worked every fucking time. Because people in Platinum and below don't play efficient. Like, for instance, going back to your build, okay? We'll remember 514, okay? We'll come back to this really fast. But watch your opener. Again, an example of efficiency is proper chrono boost, no probes being missed, all that shit we talked about. But the build order is pylon, gateway, gas, nexus, core, gas, pylon. That's efficiency for a defensive standard opener against Terran. And that's the only build order I want you to remember. That's it. It's up to like 22 supply, and then you're done. And then you just kind of like do whatever feels right. Spend your money as you have it. But for the first part of the game, that's a good build order. That's very solid. It's because the reason why this is important, the Nexus is the important part here. You take your Nexus at a good time. It's early. It's appropriate. Now watch this. Watch what you do. You go pylon, gate, gas. Your gas is a bit late, but you go pylon, gate, gas. You saturate gas, so we talked about this as well, how you shouldn't do that. And then you go core. And then you go pylon again. Your natural should have been started at like 125 or 130. And then you wait, you wait, you wait, you wait. You make a stalker, you make warp gate, and then you expand like 50 seconds late, or like 40-ish seconds late. Like 40 to 45, realistically. Like, this is fucking late. And the build, like, you know what that is? That is more than half the build time of this building. Nexus has a 71-second build time. This Nexus is ridiculously late. This is the exact example of not efficient. Because you're going to play a defensive game, yet you have just stunted your economy hardcore. Like, you are behind. If you were versus a person who did the build I said, and they just made probes as fast as they could, your probe count, when your probe count is going to say like 35, if someone did something like the same build as you but efficient, like an efficient version of it, they would be like at 42 when you're at like 35. There'd already be like a 7 probe discrepancy at that point in the game. And the reason why is because they generate more chrono boosts for longer, so they have more chrono boosts to throw at their Nexus, and they have more uptime to make more probes with. And if you miss like 45 seconds of production time off of your Nexus, including a chrono boost, that's the equivalent of like 5 probes being chronoed. Just on that Nexus alone. And then if you also don't fuck up your main base a little bit and delay, you know, probes here, that could be more, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, you'd be somewhere like between 5 and 7 probes behind, realistically. So it's a pretty big deal. It adds up pretty fast. All right, we'll go back to where you were. You should be starting your Nexus around 20 supply, by the way. Do it off of supply. Because the reason why the clock doesn't always make sense is because if you're, for instance, if your opponent attacks you, and like let's say like they send one of their first 12 workers to your base, they start zapping one of your workers in the middle line for whatever. Like he has an SCV just drilling a probe, and you're like, this is fucking annoying. And then you you start pulling off the middle line to go attack his ass for whatever reason, like you're trying to kill it. Like. Going with a timer sometimes can fuck things up because you don't know what your opponent's going to do. It's not always the same. It's not always perfect. But supply is a bit more of a good indicator as to where you're at in terms of like your own personal build. Like time is only good as long as you're not interrupted. And then if you are interrupted, his build is now behind, your build is behind, and it's a discrepancy there as to like how far behind it is. You don't really know. You really have to kind of like gauge that game by game. But supply is kind of like a gauge to like where you're at in the game for your pacing as to like where you're at with everything included. But yeah, like if you can throw your Nexus down by 20 supply, that's great. Alright, so speeding up now. And again, your third base should definitely be started like right about now. Like right about like 4:45 minutes. 4:45 to like 5, your third base should be getting thrown down. Because again, you're playing defensive. The only reason why it would ever make sense to not take a third already by now, again, this is already like 40 seconds late, 30 seconds late, 4:45 to like 5 minutes should be your third, playing this way, like 2-gate robo. The only reason why you should not have a third base right now is because you have a fuckload of gates being made. That is the only exception. Like you're making like 5 gates or 6 gates, and you're going to do like a prism pressure with like a gateway all in, and maybe a couple of mortals with it. Like that's the only reason why that would make sense. Because now all that's going to happen is you can totally afford it. You can easily afford it, but it's being delayed, and now that's going to further again do the same exact thing I talked about with your natural. It's going to do that again to your third base, where it could have made probe. It could have been generating chrono boost. You could have been making probes not be oversaturated faster. Same thing with your main. You were oversaturated before your natural started getting saturated. Like for a longer time. So your third base is about a full minute late. Like your Nexus should be finishing right about now. It should be finishing at like 5:50 to 6 minutes. That's when it should be done. And it's like just starting. Okay, so there you go. Perfect. So you don't see a natural, you don't see a natural, you don't see a natural. And we said that this doesn't have to mean that he may or may not have a command center on the high ground. It might also mean he's going crazy on tech. And this is exactly what he did. He went battlecruiser first. This is why we go stalkers. The second the battlecruiser gets to your base, if you know, oh, okay, he's a battlecruiser boy. This guy likes battlecruisers. All you got to do, move your army to the battlecruiser, like you just did. Pull your probes as fast as you can, like you did. The second you push the battlecruiser away, make a shield. If again, this is against people who go for annoying ass air, okay? No matter what it is. If it's a Banshee, an Oracle, a battlecruiser, a Mutalisk, I don't care what it is. Make a battery, one battery in every mineral line you have. Just one battery. 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 And what that's going to do is it's going to buy you time to deal with annoying harassment, and you're not going to let like 7 probes die every time you get harassed by something. Suddenly no probes die, and your stalkers also have a backup battery to help push the unit back if it's like a battlecruiser, for instance. Like stalker battery is god mode against a BC. Yo, Metal Rebel, thank you very much for the prime. Welcome to the VFam, dude. Hell yeah, thank you. And then yeah, just immediately, I would say right now you should grab these probes and send them right back right now, because your stalkers are here now. So if you let these probes go all the way to the natural, they don't need to. They should already be going back to the mineral line because your stalkers are here now. So this is a little bit of missed mining time. And yeah.
I feel like I'm watching one of mine replays again.
Hell yeah. You didn't take too long to resaturate. You could have done it faster. But like there was, again, you already sent the stalkers to the BC. At that point, it was one of those moments where it's like you're getting kind of like zombie moded by what you're seeing, and you're not actually doing what you need to do, which is you're just kind of watching the BC to see if you can kill it or see if you can push it away. And you could have easily grabbed your probes there. It would have taken like 1 second, but instead you wasted probably like 10 seconds of mining time extra by having them go all the way to the natural and then waiting and waiting and waiting. BC comes over here and then you grab them all and go back. Yep. Atomic Koopa, thank you for the bits again, man. Much love. Alright. And then your fourth base as well. As soon as your third base is like fully saturated, you should be starting your fourth base. Like we're talking mineral line. So once you got to like 14, 15, 16 probes here, you should start a fourth, because you're going to be building probes at a very fast pace. Maybe even like 12 if you feel like you have just like that moment where you can afford it. Because that moment will come pretty fast over and over and over. Like your money's going to go up and down pretty fast now. So starting a fourth base faster, again, like the base expansions start happening at a faster pace as you get higher in base count, because you start having a higher probe count, so your money starts coming in way faster. So your fourth base should already be started. You should, honestly, if you're pacing it well, your fourth base probably starts around 7 minutes. if you're just chilling like defensively like this. I would say you're a little under par in your timing of your stuff. Your build's probably like a full like 2 minutes behind where it could be right now, or like maybe that's harsh. Maybe like 80 seconds behind. That's realistic. I feel like 80 seconds ago you could be where you're at now, with everything, probes, supply, and it all comes from how you delayed your stuff from previous. You have the right idea though. You're just not your biggest problem is you just don't expand fast enough. But you have the right idea. You're starting to explode your production a little bit more as your money goes up a bit. You did make it okay. You did make a battery in every mineral line. I love that. You made cannons as well though. I think that's a little excessive. Only for the fact that you have so many stalkers. Like you have such a big army and you're being defensive anyways. If you just expanded more faster and you went up to like 80 probes quicker and you went to a higher supply, I would love if you had then added cannons then as you're going to like move out. But you should definitely make your priority your supply first and then cannons after, because you're defensive anyways, so it's like overkill. Yeah, this base is about 3 minutes late. Your 4th base is super late, because you should actually at this point now you should have already started your 5th base as well. And why is that? You start your 5th base really soon after your 4th base because your main base starts mining out. You're starting your 4th base when your main base is already halfway mined out. You should know by the time you start hearing mineral field depleted, you should already be at 80 probes. Like you should be there already. So you've definitely kind of like, once you took your 3rd, you kind of just like stopped making probes for a while. Like, or like it was really when you delayed your 3rd, you stopped making probes like for a while. It went off on, off on, off on. You took your 3rd, you went for a round of probes, and then you kind of went off on, off on, off on again. The probes should like never stop until you're literally at 80. So like base 4 should be started around 7 minutes, and base 5 should be started around like 8.5 minutes. Because that's roughly around like 8.5, 9 minutes. Because that's roughly around the time when you're going to hear mineral field depleted, mineral field depleted. You're going to start losing patches in your main base. Like somewhere between 8 and 9 minutes. And you should already have 5 actual standing bases. And look at your natural. Look at some of these patches. 300, 200, 300, 300 again. Once you hear this again, like your natural starts getting depleted, that's when you take your 6th base. You always expand again when your next base mines out, so that you don't ever have a situation where you're like, oh shit, I have all these oversaturated probes that I can't send them anywhere. So like base number 6 would probably, like 6th base, 6 Nexus would probably be started around like 13 minutes or 14 minutes, because these patches aren't going to mine out right now. They're going to mine out in a couple more minutes. But yeah, so like 6 bases by like 13, 14 minutes. That's realistic. And we're also assuming the fact that you have to also consider the fact that your natural was delayed this game by a little bit, by like 40 seconds or whatever. So this base would mine out even faster if it was more efficient. You just want to make sure you're always keeping your probes running, and you're always maintaining 80, because you're sitting at 67 forever. That's not the most ideal. The reason why that's not the most ideal is because this is putting you in a situation now where this army kind of needs to win the game. It no longer has this upkeep factor to it where you just can keep maxing out over and over and over. You kind of now just need to win the game, because that extra base of a full mineral line mining is the difference of developing a juicy fucking bank or not. Like you're not actually going to be able to maintain oversaturation. Like what you're going to do is you're just going to develop less money. Like you're going to mine slower because you have less probes. You're going to bleed out your bank faster. And you're not going to have enough money to constantly just hit that threshold where you can remax. You're going to be a little under it. So you're never going to remax. when you try to remax, you're going to have these moments where it's like, I lost my army and I built back up to 168 or 174 and I'm trying to slowly add on the rest of it. That's going to constantly be what's happening to you. If you play for the, you know, the style of you max out, you attack, you max out, you attack. I don't want you to make Void Rays, but I'm not going to critique you on that too hard. They suck pretty bad. But I would say don't make them, but it's whatever. Like, Void Rays they've kind of missed the beat on why they're even effective at this point in the game. These units are only really good when you defend really, really early all-ins, and you just happen to open Stargate. That was your choice. And you're like, well, shit. A bunch of Roach Ravager are attacking me. Or he's like Marauder proxying me. Or it's Mass Reapers, or whatever. Some all-in that you're like, fuck, okay, I have a Stargate, I open Stargate, and I'm getting all-in like crazy. I need some consistent damage. A Void Ray is really good then. Other than that, honestly, don't ever make it. It's pretty shitty otherwise. Maybe when the buff happens, it'll get a little better, but still, pretty garbage unit. You can make much... Like, I would rather these be Immortals, for sure. Because they're the same supply cost as Immortals. And Immortals are, like, way, way, way better. Okay, and then now we're going to go back it up for a second, and we're going to look at this. When your supply is around, like, maybe, like, we're going to say, like, 170. 160, 170, right around now. You have to realize you're getting to that threshold where you're going to max super fast. You're starting to add on more production. You're going to max really quickly, and you're going to go through the process of remax, remax, remax. So right around now, when you're getting really close to maxing, you're not going to ramp up supply at the same pace that you ramped it up in the first 3 minutes of the game. You're going to ramp up supply at like chunks of like 30 at a time, because you have lots of probes giving you lots of money for lots of production. So you're going to max out super fast now. Like your last 50 supply is going to finish off way faster than your first 50 supply, is what I'm trying to say. So like right about now should be the time when you grab one stalker on both sides of the map. Like you said, one stalker on this side, you send one stalker on this side, and you actually go find out where his bases are. He's making it a little bit more obvious by the fact that he has sensor towers everywhere, so you kind of know where his bases are to a degree. But you should still scout, because you don't know. Like, what if he has a hidden base? People do that kind of shit all the time. I'm not going to lie. Hidden bases are really common in 2 stages of StarCraft. Really low level is one of them, and really high level is another one of them. There's not a ton of hidden bases in, like, Diamond and Masters from my experiences. But low level play, hidden bases are fucking random all over the place. It's just like, oh, whatever, maybe I'll never scout it. And then at really high level, sometimes hidden bases get thrown out with weirdest fucking builds where it's like, oh shit, there was a hidden base with this. What the hell? Yeah. So always do yourself a favor and just get in the habit of checking the map. Just get in the habit of checking it, because it can always happen no matter what. It's just common at low level and really high level, I would say. So yeah, do that for sure. It's probably most common at lower level. So if you scouted that, you would know where to send your army. And the point of this is, the second you max, you go. You max and go, max and go. I do think you could have maxed a bit faster than you did. By probably, like, again, remember how I said you're like 80 seconds behind? That's what I'm referring to. How fast you can max. You probably could have maxed this game, honestly, like at 10:30. And now you're maxed. You're basically maxed at 12 minutes. You're basically maxed at 12 minutes, and look what you're doing. We're gonna wait and see how long it takes you to decide to move. Now you're scouting the map. See how, like, this is so fucking late? Look, go back to 12 minutes. Watch this. This is very important. You are essentially maxed right now, because you can make a robo unit. You could make another round of probes. That you're basically maxed. Like, this is essentially maxed. If you just upkept everything here, you could basically max out. And then like your gateways are like seconds from being off and cooldown again. And we're talking about like the difference of like 3 zealots. And like starting an immortal. It's very, very tiny. So you could already be moving out now. But we'll just base it off 12 minutes. Just to make it nice and even rounded number. Your opponent is at 137 at 12 minutes. You should already be going to attack his base, whatever one you're going to go to. And if you scouted the map properly, you would be attacking this base. Because this base would not have existed yet, and this base would have been his newest exposed base. You would already be moving towards this base at 12 minutes, and he's only at 137 supply. Now let's look and see how much supply he has when you actually fight him. 137 is what he is at. And you are waiting for the difference of like 5 supply. You're waiting for like literally like an Archon or an Immortal or a Void Ray. Like you're waiting for basically nothing. It was literally like 5, 6 supply for a long time there. Now you're chilling, you're chilling, you're chilling, you're chilling. You find out where his base is. You're still chilling. You are now starting to move out. And you waited basically like 2 minutes, essentially like 2 minutes longer than you needed to. And we're still going to let it keep going for a second here because we're going to see what his supply is when you actually engage him. You need to be way more assertive about that because look, you're chilling again for a second and then now you go. He's at 172 when you finally take the fight. So for you to get just that last like 5 supply you're waiting for, you allowed him to grow his supply by like 35. That is fucking crazy how much more army you can have with 35 supply. So way more assertive. That is very needed there. And you're going to have way stronger engagements. You waited such a long time to take this fight. Like this is the moment where a lot of people would look at this in Gold League and be like, ViBE, dude, the fuck do you tell me to make Immortals? He's got BCs, man. I can't beat that. Mortals don't shoot air. Your build sucks. Now, obviously, I'm not saying you're saying that, Mo Capitan, but people say shit like that all the time. They're like, it doesn't work. It doesn't fucking work. But if this game was a lot more assertive with how you expanded, with also how you moved out when you maxed out, this would not exist for him right now. This army for him would be like half the size that it is right now, or maybe even smaller than that. You could have actually maxed at like 10 minutes. And imagine, because he's not done shit to you other than, he attacked you with 1 BC one time, and he's never attacked you again. And how many probes did he actually kill? He killed 8. So that slows your build down a little bit, but it's not like game ending. Because he attacked you at like 6 minutes, which is when you should have had like 55, 60 probes. But if we go back to like 10 minutes for just a second, if you would have maxed like right around here, 10 to 10:30, look at what his army supply is right now. He's got 3 BCs, 20 Marines, 2 Marauder, 4 Tank. If you were maxed at that point, this army is very, very, very easy to deal with. And why is this guy so late on maxing? Because he went all the way to fucking battle cruisers with his tech. All the way to battle cruisers. And then he expanded to a planetary at his natural. That is so fucking... that is ridiculously inefficient in terms of economy, that it's very realistic that you could be maxed right now against what he has. Like for the terms of like you could be 200 supply versus his 100 supply. He should be a lot higher than 100 supply himself, but his build was ridiculously inefficient. For the he sacrificed so much of his own economy to just harass you with the BC, and what did that do? It netted him an 8 probe kill situation. That was it. He essentially killed 8 of your probes with a BC, and he most likely sacrificed like 30 of his own SCVs to do that. Because he waited so fucking long to expand. That's why that makes sense right there. But yeah, you definitely could be a lot further ahead than you are. Alright, so your army just died to this. And at this point, it's not about composition. You shouldn't give a shit that it's BCs. Really? You should just be making stalkers, 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 because if you continuously max out and you play efficient, you will overpower him over time. It is It is a fact of life. It is literally how StarCraft works. But you are not going to overpower him because look at you what you're doing. You're not even making units as you die. Watch your production as you take the fight. Well, let's watch your production, your supply as you max out. So the whole point here is your supply should literally go like this. 198, 200, 198, 200, 196, 200, 196, 200, 198, 200, 198, 200. Your supply drops as you lose units for the supply that they cost because they die. And then you immediately remake, immediately remake, immediately remake. Like realistically, you should never drop below 190 the whole fucking time. Because the whole time what you're doing is you're macroing. Now let's click your gateways. Let's click your Robo. Let's click your Stargate. How many gates do you have in total? You have 12. Where are the other ones? There they are. I got them. Okay, so there's all your production. I just got it all. Watch the gateways. If they get used, they will turn gray. Like they'll go dark mode, and a timer will start going on the gateway on the production tab down here in the bottom middle. And then the Robo and the Stargate will add a little tiny white box into production as it starts. But look, you're taking the fight right now, and let's watch and see how you produce during the fight. Let's also watch your camera and see what you're looking at. Okay, you made one Stargate unit. That's good. Good job so far. You're staring at the fight really hard right now. You're making nothing. You're losing lots of supply. You're making nothing. You're now backing off. You're making nothing. Still making nothing. You just started making units at like 147. 146. You waited a very long time to spend your money there. The only time it ever makes sense to, you know, not macro is if you're going to be conservative with your army to a degree where you're going to take a fight where you're only going to commit to a fight that you know is advantageous for you, or you're going to take a fight where you sorry, I said it the wrong way. You take a fight that's advantageous to you, or you just don't take fights. Like you poke, you back off. You poke, you back off. You poke, you back off. You poke, and then you wait until there is an advantageous fight, and then you take it. If you're going to micro, and that's all you're going to do. But again, your Gold League, you shouldn't even be doing that. The fact that this location was fucking awful to engage into. There are tons of tanks on the ground over here that cover the planetary, and there's a planetary, and this lines up to you walking into a choke point to do this, which makes the tanks and the planetary, which all do splash damage, have amazing AoE effects on your army. This is a terrible fight for you, but you shouldn't even have looked at it. Like, you shouldn't even have cared. You should have just been like, well, I'm just making units. And when this fight ends, and he teleports into your base with his BCs, you don't have 120 or 130 supply. You have 200 again. And when he teleports into your base with yellow-red BCs, if he does, he actually teleported on you there, so he doesn't actually teleport to your base. But the point is you could remax really fast, and then you would rescout the map again, and you'd find this base. And now suddenly, this is the base you go kill. You kill it, you throw your whole army away, again, on this PF. Possibly. Maybe you kill the PF, but you lose everything again to these tanks. And you're like, well, I lost everything again. His BCs are getting fucked up again a bit. But then you remax again, because this dude is on 2 bases, and you are on, like, at that point, like 8 bases or 7 bases. It's all just upkeep. That's all it is. You're not macroing at all. You look at that again. Well, watch the BC in your base. I watched the BC. I guarantee you did it too. Look at your we're gonna just watch your production again for a while. You just don't macro. So you made a round of Archons. This is when you make the Templar. This is what we're talking about. You waited like what, like 30 seconds to do this, or 40 seconds to do this, after you started losing supply. It was a long time. And then you make it, and now watch. You just made a round of Stargate units as well. Watch your production. It's ready to go again. Or, just kidding. No, it's not. Not yet. Not yet. I'm just kidding. It's actually over here. Like, I think one of your gateways is ready to go somehow, which is why this is happening like this, why it's all lit up and shit. Or whatever. Doesn't really matter. Now let's watch it. Watch your production. It's ready to go right now, again. It's not bad. You made some of it. You didn't spend all of it. You're not using the robo, you're not using your 4th Stargate. You're not using all your gateways. You did use some of it though. I'm proud of you for at least doing it. But definitely use more because you're not even close to max. And you also have a... I guess the reason why you're not doing it, this makes more sense. You just have no fucking gas. Because you just went crazy, 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 crazy Archon. At this stage, when you start going into Archons, you need to also start going into Zealots. And I understand you're playing against BCs. So if you're playing against BCs, it probably makes... Again, this is going down that path I don't want you to go down. I don't want you to go like, I'm going to make Archons against BCs. Because they're better. I want you to just make a healthy army every time, no matter what. Just go, lots of Stalkers. Some Archons, finish off on Charge Lots and Immortals. Lots of Stalkers. Some Archons, finish off on Charge Lots and Immortals. Just do that every fucking time. I don't even give a shit that he has BCs, or if he has tanks, or if he has Thors, or if he has Bio, or if he has Widow Mines, or if he has fucking Hellbats and Cyclones. You should not actually be trying to play the game as a reaction, because I'm going to tell you right now, the fact that you did make Archons just fucked you tremendously. Because here's why. This is the biggest reason why. It's the simplest reason, but it's the biggest reason why you just fucked yourself with Archons. You can't even get into your main base. You have SimCity'd your base to a degree where your Archons cannot fit, and it's because of this. This is a 1x1 pixel opening. Archons literally would get stuck right here in the doorway. They would just go like this. Boop, 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 boop. Like they were just like bumping each other like big balloons in the doorway. And they couldn't even go into your main base. So the fact that you're making Archons to deal with BCs is completely incorrect. Because you can't even defend every part of your base. You're just going to have to watch your base die. Or kill your base as well to get to access to other parts of your base. Don't look at his army. Who fucking cares what he has? Just, you could actually, I'm dead serious, you would be better if you just went 100% Stalker. Every time. Macro better with 100% Stalker, and you would win more often. Now, that's not necessarily the best way to do it. I'm not saying that that's better than everything, but it is better than what you're doing now. You're falling so far behind because, again, you're falling into the trap of, I'm trying to micro my shit. Don't do that. Now, again, watch. This is what I wanted to talk about. Watch the BC in your base. Watch your production. Watch this. I know you don't have gas. You can still make Zealots. But watch your... You can also still make a few Stalkers. Watch your production. Do you make anything while this BC attacks you? A-move it and macro. A-move it and macro. A-move it and macro. Don't look at it. Don't fight it. Don't worry about it. A-move it and macro. You have not made a single thing. And now you do have gas, so that's not really an excuse anymore. You have not made a single thing since that BC attacked you. You still have not made a single thing. And you're getting attacked again. You still have not made a single thing. You're gonna die if you play like this all the time. If you just had 200 of Stalker, you could beat this shit. Composition is not why you're losing. Look at the Archons. This is what I'm talking about. They can't fit. You have not made a single thing in the last like 90 seconds. That's the first time you made something. That is a long ass time to not macro. And if you just made Stalkers, you would have, like I said before, you're beating this army even though this is happening. You're still beating this army. Imagine if you just had fucking mass Stalkers and you just went A-move. Like, they would crush this. This is not a maxed out army of BCs. This was like 7 BCs. 7 BCs is the equivalent of 42 supply. That is 42 supply. Imagine if 42 supply of BCs fight against 100 supply of Stalkers. Like, it's not going to go well for the BCs. BCs are good, but they're not that good. They're not able to kill more than double their value of Stalker. Your problem is your macro. This is always what the problem is, but it's just that you're focusing too hard on you know, microing everything. And you should definitely, if you, as soon as, just know this too, you have to really do this. If you make Archons, you make charge lots. You don't just make Archons and then also make gas units. Charge lots are the only way you balance your economy if you make Archons. So you can literally not ever make Archons. If you just want to make Stalker Immortal, Stalker Immortal, Stalker, 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 Stalker Immortal, Stalker Immortal, Stalker, 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 you can do that and your money will stay pretty balanced. But Archons are ridiculously fucking expensive on gas, especially if you make them through High Templars, which is what I think you've been doing, which is why you have no gas and so much money. Or yeah, I saw Templars here earlier, High Templars. You made them. I physically saw them. So if you make High Templars for Archon, you have to balance that with Zealots. And if you make Zealots, for the love of God, make sure you get charged, which you did. I'm glad you did. That's good. You have to balance it, though. You have to balance it. Like your base over here has been depleted. You should definitely have started another base. Like, I'm not even kidding at this point. You should be on about 8 nexus. Because every one of your bases is depleted. Like, you should be 4 bases plus 1 per depleted base. That's how this works. If you have the correct macro probe count, which you're obviously, you're also kind of, you're actually there. You're at, what the fuck? How the fuck are you at 80 still? Good job. You got there eventually, and you're maintaining it through aggression. I'm proud of you. I would have never assumed that would have said 80 right now. But look at this, okay? Let's count the nexus you need. 4 always. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you're on 5. But now let's look at bases that are depleting. That adds on 1 to 4 now. So you're on 5, but now you have 5, but now you need 1 more. Out of this again, we're starting at 4 as what you should have. This is what so you have 5, but this is what you should have. So you have okay, I'm saying this so fucking weird. Let me pause for a second and say this again so I'm not confusing anybody, because I feel like I'm about to confuse everybody. You have 5 nexus. But now we're going to look at what you do have, and we're going to go on top of what you should have. And we're going to look at bases that have depleted, and we're going to add 1 to that. So you should have 4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, and there you go. This one's good. So you should have 8 nexus. Every base that has been depleted should have another nexus started. You have 4 out of your 5 nexus are already depleted bases of resources. They're already being depleted. Like, they're running out. So for you to have efficient mining, you should already be on 8 bases. That does not mean 8 fully saturated bases. It just means 8 bases that you can transfer probes to. Now imagine if you had 8 bases and you could keep mining gas while you deplete gas, and you could also mine a bunch of minerals and stuff like that. You could suddenly make more Archons if you wanted to. Now suddenly you actually can afford a shitload more Archons or whatever. You can always have more money to work with. Your mineral department's not the problem here anyways, because you're just not spending it. But yeah, like, more money is still your problem though, because if you were actually macroing, you would have no bank right now. And this is another thing too. If you would have just made zealots, and you would have attacked this guy and kept attacking new bases that he makes, you would have always killed his expansions every time he maxed out. Like, you make stalkers and zealots, stalkers, archons, zealots, whatever. Your stalkers could deal with the BCs still, but if your zealots were actually running his bases over, for all this open supply that you have that's doing nothing, and all this money you have that's doing nothing, if that could have just been zealots, you would have killed expansion after expansion after expansion, and you would make him have no money. His income right now would be like 200 or 300 gas and like 800 minerals, because look at his main, depleted. Look at his natural, very, very low. His natural looks like shit. And if you just kept denying the fact that he could take a third base, because look at his third, super exposed. Look at his third, super exposed. These bases are like, nothing is there to defend it. And the reason why is because he's keeping you on defense the whole game, because you're not macroing, because you're feeling overpowered by these battlecruisers. So you're constantly like, oh my god, battlecruisers, I have to defend. You would make him have to defend if you kept running him over. And you're not macroing again. Every time you fight, you don't macro. You're microing everything. Stop microing. A move. You could have done this. What you accomplished just now, you could have done this a long time ago. If you just focused on macro, and you would have remaxed. Because this is the final thing I'll say, that this is going to end because the replay is basically over. Because you already won the game. A lot of people, when they watch Bronze to GM, you go, if this is you, okay? Listen right now. If you're the guy, this might be you. Just pay attention. There are so many people that think Bronze to GM is only about maxing out and then attacking, and then that's it. That is only like a piece of it. It's only a piece of it. Because a lot of people that think this, they think I maxed out once and then I can do whatever I want. It's not about just maxing out one time. It's about maxing out and never ever going away from maxing out. Never dropping it. You max out and you maintain it. That's what it is. It's maintaining maxed out supply. That's what Bronze and GM is. It's maintenance of maxing. Everybody, so many people, this is the most common problem. This is probably, if I make another Beta Gym series, if I make another one, I'm going to fucking talk about this. Because this is like the frequently asked question of everybody. ViBE, why does it not work? It's because you max once and then you stop. It's upkeep. It's maintenance. It's constantly staying there. And if you just maxed again a second time after the first time, you could have maxed like within 1 minute of your first max when you lost your army here the first time, when it was against like a planetary and tank sieged and then the BCs teleported on you. You could have maxed again like 1 minute after your first max if you did it properly, because you prepare for the second max. It's maintenance of maxing. It's like 24 production facilities. It's also keeping them running the whole time so you don't waste time on them either. If you would have maxed within a minute of your first max, I guarantee you would have just won the game. You just would have A-moved his ass and won straight up. And like, it's not even about the fact that I would say, oh, you would just kill all of his buildings, then he'd be out of the game. That's not what I'm saying. When I say you would have won the game, what I mean is you would have put yourself in a position to be in a unlosable spot. You would have been unkillable, because you would have, if you attacked again a second time after your first max, you would have put the pressure on him, which would have meant that there would have been no BCs teleporting in your base, unless that was going to be a full-on base trade, which you could have easily won there anyways. But you would have made him have no expansions ever, and he would never have had as many BCs as he did. If he would have base traded you with BCs, it wouldn't have been 7, or like, you know, a large number, like 12 like over time, or 15 over time, where he does like 7 and then 2 and then 5 over here. It would have been like 7 in total forever, because he has no money anymore. He mined out his main and his natural, and by like 15 minutes you still have him contained on 2 bases when you're on like 6 or 7 bases yourself. So you're just maxing, and his BCs are getting stuck in these fights where they're way down in supply, and you're just running his ass over. You're not macroing while you're fighting, so you're allowing your opponent to have windows to come back in the game. Like, he can now recover. You're giving him, basically, this is the analogy I'm going to give you. This is what I'm trying to teach you guys in Bronze GM. I want you guys to, like, if I was teaching you how to fight, okay? It's basically like putting a blindfold over your eyes. You don't literally look at anything, and I want you to kick wildly in front of you. Suddenly you kick your opponent in the nutsack, and he falls over. You don't just fucking stand there and let him get back up again and just, you know, recover again, and now he's ready to go for round 2. You fucking kick him in the nuts, he fucking falls down to his knees. Suddenly you kick him in the face, he falls over on the ground, and then you repeatedly kick him in the chest over and over and over until the fight's over. You don't let him recover. No recovery. You kick his, like, you fucking sweep the leg. Sweep the leg. You fucking kick him while he's down. That is what Beta GM is. You don't let him have recovery time. ViBE, this is bad. No, it's not. It's what you should do. Wasting time is giving your opponent time to recover, which is not good if you're trying to eliminate your opponent. Be fucking ruthless, exactly. Be ruthless. Because yeah, you're totally missing the beat on recovery. Like you're not recovering as fast as you should, which is allowing your opponent to recover faster than he should. No recovery. You just fucking remax and beat his ass to the ground again repeatedly, and you don't let him have a chance. That is the whole point of beta GM. Because here's the thing, until you understand that concept, until you can do that concept, you will never be Diamond League. But the second you understand that concept, you will be Diamond League. That is literally the key to unlocking Diamond League. Once you get there and you understand no recovery for your opponent, you maximize remax, kill, remax, kill, remax, kill. You always kill expansions and you work outside inwards. Once you understand that concept, that is it, dude. That is 100% it. I just summed it up right there. If you can do that, you are going to be Diamond League. Obviously, there's little things that are here and there, like your builds and being efficient and stuff like that. But if you can just max repeatedly at a good time and always kill your opponent's expansions and just repeatedly do this with a move commands, that is all I did all the way to Diamond League, and I won like every game. Essentially. I think out of all 3 aces, I think we lost like 3 games, and a couple of them were from fucking snipes and shit. Which you guys watched the series. If you did watch this, if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. It's whatever. It doesn't have to really go into detail about it. But the win rates were like 99% out of like over 100 games, or like 150 games. It's like a record of like 147-3, and it's because that's all we did. Max, remax, 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 killing expansions the whole time, killing expansions the whole time. Because if you kill expansions, he can't remax. That's it. He can't. There's no remax for your opponent if you keep killing his expansions, and he'll run out of money. So that's all you got to work on. Work on the concept and stop microing. You're dropping the ball hardcore on your remax potential to micro Tempest and blink stalkers around. That's not really gonna help you progress as a player. If you do that, you're gonna feel like you're gonna get stuck in Gold League for life. Like you have to learn how to macro while microing, and that doesn't come till later. Right now, you should just understand concepts about how to fuck someone over, which is break their economy and be able to actually do it through sheer macro, because that means you're actually strong enough to do that. You have to develop your macro to a point to be able to really handle that. And your macro is that, like, just for the fact that your nexuses are all super late every single time, we can tell your macro is under par. So work on your macro, make it better, and suddenly once you start just winning games through just fucking A moves, and you, like, again, it should be that way. I did not win games with A moves in lower level leagues when I did beta GM because I just wanted to be like, look how cool this is. It's because it's actually showing that if your macro is strong enough, you just win because of it. Because players in Platinum and below, they do not play efficiently. Ever. This guy's gold, and this guy did the worst fucking build I've ever seen. In terms of an opener. Like, yeah, his build eventually became okay. But his opener was complete garbage. It was a natural at like 6 minutes. With a PF at 6 minutes. You know what this is like? This guy basically had 2 options. He had an option of like 5 each $100 bills. So it's like $500 just like hanging there. And the other option was like $3 and like 2 quarters. And he's like, you know what? Give me that fucking couple dollars and change. I'll take that. I'll take the change. That sounds good to me. Like, he had no fucking money this game. At all. So you should have easily just been able to run his ass over with an efficient build of just making stalkers. Thank you for the sub. Save to play. Much love, man. But anyways, that's going to wrap it up, guys. I hope it makes sense. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys in the next the next replay analysis, whatever, next video. Thanks for watching. This has been a replay analysis. Good luck to you guys in your own games. I hope it helps you. And until then, much love. Thanks for watching, and see you later. Peace, guys.